Hi friends, thanks for joining us. Do us a huge favor, smash that subscribe button. We can't thank y'all enough for the huge support that we've seen this past week. We're so happy to be back. CFL, my sweater's doing weird things. Oh, you're gonna have to deal with it all show. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us right Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting Blue Sky. And don't forget, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Let's get right into it. Winnipeg Blue Bomber talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, field, or in the stands with a custom airbrush helmet, goalie mask, or any type of project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
And don't forget to tell them that Ray and Betty sent you.
Lots of action going on in the CFL. Not just in Bomberland, actually more not in Bomberland, and the rest of the CFL is getting some. You know what? Before we get started, can we stop calling this the tampering? They're not tampering. Nothing's being tampered. It's fully legal. It's a negotiation window. Stop calling it tampering. What's the point?
Can we stop calling it a negotiation window? Also, I don't know. Like
Just
all I keep seeing is this guy signed, this guy signed, this guy signed, this guy signed. It's like, oh, okay.
Wasn't it? Well, who was it a few years ago that did say they were going to a team and then reneged? And
yeah, that's happened in the past, I guess. I mean, because technically they're not officially signed right until next week or whatever it is. So teams can still come up and say, "Hey, I'll give you, $20,000 more." Okay, why not? Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I find it funny that teams, or I mean, a player would probably go, "Oh, it's not done yet," right?
Yeah.
And it's not the CFL or teams actually saying this signs, right? It's a lot of 3 Down Nation and other guys that are breaking the news, right? So anyone could back out of anything and be like, well, no, there was never any deal. Those guys were wrong, right?
Yeah.
Just like Eugene Lewis has already countered a couple things where they said he was done in Edmonton and he's like, what are you guys talking about? Kind of thing. Like, it's not done yet until a player says it's done, right? So
absolutely. Until it's papered ink. No, ink, paper.
Exactly.
Nothing. Thoughts on speaking of signings, let's go with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who had a big signing this week with Dalton Schoen. Thoughts on that signing?
Yeah, for me, it's a good deal. We kind of needed him or Lawler to come back. So 175 for Dalton Schoen. He's a security blanket for Zach Collaros. When Collaros was in trouble, that's where the guy that he looked to. And then we missed that in the Grey Cup there against Montreal when he was pretty much playing injured. And then last year when he was out injured, Zach didn't have that guy.
Yeah.
The only fear, again, talking about the injuries, for the last 2 years, the guy has gotten injured and last year missed the whole season. So that gives me a bit of fear, with the guy, because he's basically your main guy right now, unless they go and sign someone else, right? You got Dembski after that, and then it's a big drop from guys. Like, we don't know yet what Mitchell's going to do in this offense. We don't know what Claricius or Weefall are going to look like in their second year here with the Bombers. So this is a big move for the Bombers because this will be their main number 1 receiver.
I'd like to propose that Schoen was not Collaros' security blanket. I think that title belongs to Nick Dembski. I think these guys, Collaros and Schoen, if they put another good year together, they're in the same category as Calvillo Cahoon. Same category as McManus, Flutie, dare I say same category as Jones and Stiegel. If he can stay healthy, it'll really open up the offense, and it'll definitely give Collaros more confidence that he has his number 1 guy there. Big signing. Great to have him back. And of course, the injury concern is going to be there. 2 lower body injuries that took him out. 1 the whole season pretty much after 2 games.
It was quite a bit, and I don't think they ever said what it was really, right? They didn't specify, was it ankle or something, but yeah, that's worrisome a bit. But I guess it's football, man. People are going to get hurt no matter what. Guy can play 6 straight years, no injuries, and all of a sudden the next 3 years he's getting hurt. So it's just part of football.
I think it was ankle the year before in the Grey Cup when he tried to play in the Grey Cup and he really wasn't a factor. I think Biggie tried to pull through that one as well. That was a tough Grey Cup. We'll talk about Grey Cup.
That loyalty by Mike O'Shea playing those guys.
We'll talk about Mike O'Shea in a bit and the Grey Cup in a second.
We're talking about the Grey Cup, eh?
We'll talk about the Grey Cup. Bombers, we'll figure it out. On a scale of 1 to 10, with the recent news we're hearing about Kenny Lawler, how confident are you that the Bombers are going to sign Lawler? 1.2. I think the writing is on the wall. Um, he did the grass is greener thing, and then he regretted doing that. But I don't think they're gonna reject it this time. I don't think he's back.
Yeah, I had a 2, and then I'm dropping it to a 1 because I just saw a report from Jeff Hamilton of the Free Press that's basically saying the Bombers don't expect him back, and Lawler has told him he's probably going to accept an offer somewhere else. I was holding out hope here that somehow they would circle back, and maybe they're letting him check out his options, see what he can get on the free agent market, and then he could be like, okay, well, I'm not going to get much more, so I'm going to come back to here. But also maybe the factor, maybe Kevin Burgoyne going, the wide receiver coach is another factor, and maybe Lawler not coming back or wanting to move and see what his other options are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not overly concerned here. Obviously, Lawler is a fantastic receiver. And you know what? If Schoen wasn't back, I'd be like, let's get Lawler because you needed one of those two. You really needed one of those two. There's a lot of wide receivers still on the open market. Obviously, probably not as good as Lawler, but guys that can put up some good numbers in the CFL. So if they can grab someone like that or some guy middle of the pack, I think the Bombers wide receivers will be fine. You got to save that money for other positions for the Bombers.
Yes.
We saw last year we spent all this money on wide receivers, running back. It didn't help. When it came down to it, the defense of the Argos was better than the offense of the Bombers. So
Yeah.
to me, that's your focus.
I think they got something in Wheatfall. I think there
Yeah.
were flashes there, and now hopefully he'll get the opportunity to be one of those go-to guys. Maybe he'll be the big body that Wolotarski was.
Was he playing in Lawler's spot when Lawler was out?
I believe so.
When he was hurt?
Yeah.
Right.
He
So
stepped right in there.
yeah.
Or was it Wilson that moved over? Either one. Either way. No. Was Wilson playing more of Schoen's spot?
Yeah, I think so. Memory's not that good.
Who should be the number one priority on the Bombers free agent list that they have left there? I'm going to go Liam Dobson. They got to get that O-line set. They got Stanley Bryant. They just signed Eric Lofton. But I think Eric Lofton might be the succession plan for Stanley Bryant. If he puts another strong year at right tackle and he has that tutelage of Stanley Bryant, maybe next year he is going to be protecting Collaros or whoever is back.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like having him. He's going to come into his own, just turned 30, 31. So they got to get Liam Dobson, hometown boy. Hopefully they'll get maybe a little bit of a hometown discount for him wanting to stay at least one more year to win it at home. But, they got to sign him. Even without the discount, spend the money that you're saving on players that you missed out on.
I do agree here. That's the guy. Because, looking at the whole list, there's really no one else that the Bombers really need to go out and, from their own free agent list to go and sign. Liam Dobson's a guy. Canadian offensive lineman, playing guard, had a great season, still a young guy. You need to dump any money you're saving on not bringing back Lawler, Big Hill, Brandon Alexander.
Wolotarski.
I'm assuming Alexander's gone. Wolotarski. You got to dump it into Dobson and make sure he stays here because right now the Bombers signings, they're pretty thin, right? They've gotten their own guys signed. They've signed a few guys from outside the team, but you got to keep Dobson. Again, younger guy. You got to get that deal done and solidify that old line. And you talk about Eric Lofton. I know some people aren't necessarily happy with the Lofton signing. Didn't think he did a good job, but I don't know. To me, started off slow, but picked it up by the end of the season. And
I agree.
We didn't talk about him, so that's a good thing, right? He was doing his job and getting it done. So I'm good with that signing, and I'm good. If you got Gabe Wallace coming back, Randolph coming back, I'm good with this whole line. If you get Dobson signed and do whatever it takes.
Neufeld's coming back to take his spot.
Neufeld,
yeah. My personal choice, you said Brandon Alexander at safety, probably not going to be back. I really want to see Brian Cole at safety. Like, this dude is an athlete. He's a playmaker. He came in as a receiver, I think, out of college, and then he moved to defense. Now he's playing linebacker. I think he'd be great at safety. Obviously, he need the reps and he'd need time to adjust. But you have coaches like Jordan Younger and Richie Hall who know what they're doing. So that's what I personally would like.
Yeah, there's still some options out there for safety guys that have more experience in the position. I don't know what Brian Cole would do back there. It'd be interesting. I wouldn't put all my eggs into his basket kind of thing for the safety position, But I do believe one of the or Hallett's are both back or Noah's back or signed. Or is he a free agent? I can't remember. So
Man, I want to see a playmaker back
yes.
there.
Oh,
Come
you need
on.
yeah, you
Like,
need someone like Brandon Alexander back there, right? The guy that put fear into people that coming across the middle that they were going to get crunched, making that
yeah,
catch and that they were going to pay for it. They may catch the ball, but they were going to pay for it. So you definitely need someone like that.
Cole's a hard hitter. Dude, play receiver. Dude knows how to track a ball. Come on. Give him a shot. Let's train him.
I know.
Safety and training. Thoughts on James Vaughters signing?
Yeah, I like it. Guys, I mean, he's 32 years old, so he's getting up there. Has had some good years. What did he have last year? 5 sacks, 32
Yeah.
tackles last year with Calgary, couple forced fumbles. So he's done well there. And you know what? You open up, he knows, and he even said it, Willie Jefferson's going to take a lot of the focus. So that opens him up to make some noise. They ended up losing Celestin Haba and Taiwan Garbett now. So the depth really isn't there. And I know those guys were hit and miss throughout the year, but the depth to me, especially when you got a guy who's 32 and Willie Jefferson's getting up there in age as well, you have to find some depth now to fill in those positions and have backups for those guys. Plus, they're older. Even if they don't get injured, they're going to get tired. So that's the next focus for me is after this guy, find some depth guys that can come in and spell these guys.
The scouting department has a lot of work to do. They have a secondary that they have to work on, especially after losing Tyrell Ford, which we'll talk about in a second. They have a D line that is kind of in shambles right now. Like, I get it. Cam Lawson is coming back. He is going to move that needle. It's great to have him in the middle. But, and about James Vaughters, I think it's a great signing. He will also help Willie Jefferson on the other side, or they can put him side by side when they're doing the 3-man rush. Who knows? But yeah, with the loss of Haba and Garbett, they really have some depth that they got to figure out. So I like the signing, but still a lot of work to do on that D line. Thoughts on Peyton Logan signing? We have a returner. I like it. We have a playmaker that can fill in for Oliveira if he needs a break, if he needs a breath, I mean. So I'm a huge fan of the signing. I really liked him, how he played, and yeah, he can be a weapon for the Bombers.
Yeah, I'm excited. Dynamic returner. I mean, the guy was average wise, what was he, fourth last year in returns, punt return or kick returns, and up there also, sorry, in punt returns as well.
Yeah.
So the guy can definitely make some noise. He brought at least one back for a touchdown. But I also like what he can bring to the offense, like you said. You can spell Brady Oliveira. They had the Bombers had Greg McRae there a couple years ago, and there was another guy before that I can't remember off the top of my head what his name was, but he was almost like a scat back kind of guy that would come in for Harris or whatever and do different plays and then be a quick guy back there, right? And Peyton
Yeah.
Logan can kind of fill that spot and throw the offense off a bit. Oliver and Augustine were basically almost the same type of guy. They'd put their head down and go straight ahead and bowl you over kind of thing, right? I mean, obviously they got more skill than just that, but that was the gist of him, especially Oliveira, man. That guy's a bowling ball. So I like the Logan signing because then you can do a lot of different things with the guy with his speed and everything like that. So just not as a kick returner, I'm excited to see what he can do on the offense as well.
He could be a matchup nightmare for a linebacker having to cover him out of the backfield on a second and long. Oof.
Yeah, exactly. So then hopefully they use him like that, right? If we ever find an OC.
Yes, that's coming in a bit too. Thoughts on Tyrell Ford signing in Edmonton? Go ahead.
Yeah, big loss, obviously. I mean, the guy is a Canadian, young guy, put up some great numbers last year, a bunch of interceptions as well, but not surprising at all. I mean, he got some big money in Edmonton. He gets to go play with his bro and be with his bro for the next couple of years. I'm still good with what the Bombers have back there, with Bonds, Holm, Nichols signed, depending on what they do at safety, and Parker as well. Sorry, if he's fully healthy, kind of thing. So. And again, this is one of those positions where the Bombers have been good at finding DBs.
Yep.
I don't know if it was Danny McManus or Ted Govia, which was a guru at this spot, but they've been good at bringing in guys, and they haven't missed a beat. To me, if you get that D line right, you could almost put anyone back there at DB. Not almost anyone, but you could put a guy who's a little bit weaker. If you're getting pressure on that quarterback, you're going to be able to play DB decent enough to stop these guys. I would take Tyrell Ford. You can look at me like that. I would take Tyrell Ford over that, but you knew he was gone, and you knew he was going to sign for big money.
Yeah, I don't blame them for not signing him. That's way too much money to put out a corner. It's a position where you can actually avoid for a large chunk of the game just because the field is so damn big in the CFL. You can really take Ford out of the game. And for 225, 230,000, I don't think so. I don't think so. You can find an American who can put up 7 interceptions. That's not to take away from how good Tyrell Ford is or can be or will be, but it's the truth. It's just the truth.
Well, the
Uh,
Bombers had Demario Houston the year before, 7 interceptions, right?
yeah,
Tyrell Ford came in. Now it took over. We were all worried about we're going to lose those interceptions. Ford came in and did it. So I'm sure they'll get another guy. He may not get 7 interceptions, but he could do a decent enough job back there. And like you say, it's a huge field. You never have to throw that way. I think how many times have teams thrown at Dietrich Nichols? The
oh,
guy's got barely any stats for the last 5 or 6 years, but you know he's good, right?
he's locked down. He's locked
Yeah.
down.
So it's like, but there's a lot of other options that you can choose from in that field.
What is going on in Edmonton? And Hervey is going nuts. Like, I don't know. We'll see. It really depends on how Terrell Ford, what's his name? Not Terrell Ford, the
Trey
other
Ford.
Trey Ford develops. If he takes that next step, yeah, they can be dangerous. Like Jake Serezna already? Come on. And they just signed another Canadian DB. Give me a break. It's going crazy.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely right now winning the off season. They are the paper Grey Cup champions if all these signings go through. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because Ed Hervey's always kind of made a mockery of this whole negotiation window thing, right? Like how are guys? And the funny thing is, like it's the first day of free agency or the first day of negotiations, and these guys are already signing deals. So
Yeah.
obviously they were talked to before, right? Which is fine. Everyone's doing it. I don't really care. But it's just funny. How do you sign at least 9 guys plus 3 more today, right?
Craziness.
And to me, it's like, where is all this money coming from? Because you're not paying these guys cheap. If you're paying Tyrell Ford 230, you got to be paying Jake Serezna good, Robbie Smith, and there was a guy that Jared Brickman. I had him on our next thing we're going to talk about. I had him as our number one guy that to go after the Bombers, and I just realized, oh, he already signed in Edmonton,
Yeah.
so he's gone. So plus their whole line, plus they got Keon Julian Grant. Yeah, he's gone nuts. We'll see how it works out. I'm hoping for Elks fans that it does. As a Bomber fan, I'm hoping it kind of doesn't. But I hope for the league, the Elks can turn it around and put it together. But like you say, Trey Ford's going to be the main cog there, and if he gets benched, how's that going to affect Tyrell Ford?
Yeah, they're definitely going to free up a lot of money by not bringing back three last names.
But now
They
you got Cody Fajardo anyways, right? So he's going to be making okay coin too.
but wasn't MBT signed as like a starting quarterback?
Yeah,
I don't
he
think
would be
they gave
making
Cody.
more.
Yeah, they didn't give Cody that amount of money.
Well, Cody still had a contract, so unless they renegotiated it and made it lower, the guy's still probably making at least a couple 100,000.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
We'll see what Edmonton does. They still got a lot of names on their own that they're not going to have to sign. So,
oh,
and
that's the thing. Where's the
Eugene
receiver?
Lewis.
They didn't really go after any receivers right now. You got Eugene Lewis, who's to Gittins. Is he the only one really signed there because they got rid of Dylan Mitchell that the Bombers have? So I
Yeah,
haven't seen
he's
any
still there.
signings on that side, but their defense should be pretty good and their O line.
Did they sign Tevin Jones?
Uh,
I
did
don't
they
think.
have him last year?
Yeah, Edmonton.
Okay, yeah.
Wow, they're making a lot of noise. Well, we'll see. What non-bomber free agent should be the Bombers' target, or should the Bombers be targeting? I'm gonna go with a veteran DB, unless he signed, but I haven't heard it. I'm gonna go with Marcus Sales. He knows the system, familiar with the coaches, familiar with the team culture, and I think if they can't scout enough good DBs, at least they have him. Who knows, might be on the downside of his career because of age, but I'd like to have a steady presence in the backfield. It's a safe signing.
Yeah, it is. And again, there is a lot of DBs still out there that haven't signed that the Bombers can definitely go after in that sense that can fill that spot. Obviously, probably not as good as Tyrell Ford would be, but good enough to kind of fill that. There's still lots of guys, for the Bombers to go after. And like I said, the one I kind of wanted them to go after, again, D-line, was Gerard Brickman. But like I said, he ended up signing with the Elks. So for me, any of these guys, if you can grab one of these guys, if they haven't signed yet, Mika Johnson, Miles Brown, both from Saskatchewan, also Anthony Lanier, that D line from Saskatchewan, a bit older guys, but at least they're still playing at the top level. And even say Dylan Wynn from the Alouettes. To me, and then you just got to get depth on that D line. And if look, the Elks have signed Jake Serezna and Gerard Brickman. Their D line, interior D line, is better than Jake Thomas, Cam Lawson, and whoever else, Miles Fox, who's not even signed for the Bombers right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Neither is
so
Adam.
yeah, so you really need to kind of step it up if you want to kind of match that Elks D line that's kind of showing up right now. So for me, focus on that. Really, D line depth at the defensive tackle or defensive end position.
You threw out like 5 names there. We asked for what free agent
Yeah.
to
Well,
sign. Which one is it?
like I said, I had Brickman until I was reading later tonight, that he was already gone. So let's go Mika Johnson.
I like that one.
Steal something from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, heck yeah. Saskatchewan's they got Malik Rose and
Yeah.
they got a good DB from the NFL who's Canadian recently. He didn't just turn Canadian recently. They recently signed the Canadian. Whatever, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Rose would have been a good one. You could have got a 2-for-1 deal with him and Vaughters. Not 2-for-1, but you know.
They have the same team. They know how to play with each other. They play beside words on a scale of 1 to
tough.
10. Jeez, how worried are you about the Bombers' action or lack thereof during the early stages of the negotiation window, combined with the fact that they still don't have an offensive coordinator? I'm 6.7 out of 10 right now. Signings, they've been all right. Combine that though with the Wolotarski and Biggie being unceremoniously let go, combined with big names committing to going elsewhere, combined with the odd situations of the Bombers not having the offensive coordinator, it's worrisome. Not with a capital W yet, but it's worrisome. It's hashtag for the W. W isn't worried because losing Haba, man, Serezna. Yeah, I'm worried. Yeah, it's not looking like I said. I'm excited to see Cam Lawson coming back, but the Bombers weren't proficient at getting to the QB, and them lacking that depth. Now I am worried. 6.7 out of 10.
Yeah, the Bombers D was pretty good last year. Their worst spot was getting the sacks, right? So everything else was good. And now if you can grab the sacks and bring those up, hey man, that defense is going to be dominant. I'm still at a 4 right now, and most of that's because of the OC spot, really. The Bombers have signed their guys. Now, the first wave of free agency always is an overpay in every sport, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm banking on here, that the Elks have gone out and overpaid for a lot of these guys. Look at the Alouettes have basically done nothing either, right? They're kind of sitting back there and kind of waiting. I'm more concerned or more looking at now the second wave. Once these guys are signed, like I said, there's a lot of DBs, there's a lot of D lines, there's a lot of guys still out there.
Yeah.
And now they didn't get that bigger contract. Hopefully now you can get him on the second time around and get him for a little bit cheaper. And now instead of 1 guy, you can grab 2 guys, right? And that depth. And you got these veteran guys. So that's what I'm looking for. And then the other spot that hopefully they can address is they need to get a good backup QB, someone that they can trust and someone that they can put in if Zach Collaros gets hurt. The guy's getting older. You need a good plan. Jake Dogal is not it. They didn't have faith in Terry Wilson last year, obviously. And I'm sorry, as much as I love Chris Streveler, he wasn't the answer really either because they didn't really trust him to throw.
No.
So they need to fill that position as well.
Shea Patterson?
That doesn't excite me at all, really.
How about that backup from Toronto that played well against the Bombers a couple seasons ago?
Dukes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd look into him, but again, the Argos ended up, tossing him to the curb as well. And Dinwiddie's he's a good quarterback coach. Like he's good, obviously coach, but he knows his quarterbacks kind of thing. So if he's tossing that guy to the curb, I don't have much faith in the Bombers turning that guy around.
Oh boy, it's thin. Mazzoli.
Yes, Mazzoli, that's the one. Yeah, I'd be good with Mazzoli. I know him and Zach have some history too, as well. I believe they've played together in the past. So yeah, and the guy. Yeah, I mean, he came in and filled in well for Ottawa. I don't know how well he would do as a full-time starter, but when he played games, he looked decent last year. Who's going to be coaching him with the Bombers? as OC, quarterback coach, we don't know
Still waiting.
what's going on.
Maybe they know, but they're not telling anyone. Why they do that? I don't know.
That's crazy though, man. You look at every CFL coaching position and it gets filled pretty fast,
Yeah.
right? It's a small league for the most part. They just, grab some guy from that team, or promote from within. So
I don't
what's
know
going
what's
on at
going
this point?
on.
Yeah, I mean, at least the season's not starting for another a few more months, right? But you think it would help with this free agency, especially on the offensive side of the ball? If you wanted to bring someone else in from somewhere else, they're gonna be like, "Well, who's your OC? What kind of offense you running?" Yeah, we'll let you know in a month.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Okay, yeah, I'm on board. Give me a break. What is happening? That's why I'm at a 6.7.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, that's my biggest concern. It's not the free agents. It's right now. It's like who the heck's going to run this offense?
like, if they don't have an OC going into the draft and offseason workouts, I'm going to be at a 10. I'm
Oh
going to be
yeah,
at a 10.
yeah. Just for that, yeah.
Bomber fans, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about the Bombers' action or lack thereof in the negotiation window? And no OC. Let's talk about the Grey Cup. Let's pull off the band aid. It's been a couple weeks since we've talked about the Grey Cup. Why not? The Bombers are currently on a 3-game losing streak in the Grey Cup. Who should shoulder most of the blame?
For me, I gotta say the head coach, Michael Shea. Um, you know what? Ultimately, it comes down to him making sure that the offense and the defense and the special teams has a solid game plan in place. And he has to look at those and go, okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. I know it's not his expertise. I know offense is not, special teams is. Defense, for the most part, he's played that position. Offense, not really. But he should know and be able to look at it and go, okay, that's going to work. Yeah, let's go with that. Oh, what are we going to do if that doesn't work? He's got to have some game plan in there. So for me, I think it falls on his shoulders. I mean, he's the main
Yeah.
guy. Even if we think the offense didn't get it done and Buck Pierce was running that, O'Shea's the guy that led that team and went with it. And he's also part of the decision to put Zach Collaros back in that game, especially the last one. Maybe not the first, the first two losses, but the last one, putting Zach Collaros in where he could barely grip a ball.
Ugh. Maybe you shouldn't revisit the Grey Cup. I'd also have to say Mike O'Shea. A little less on the game plan and a little more about the culture going into these past 2 Grey Cups. This has been a very unfamiliar team that we've seen go into the past 2 Grey Cups. The first one that they lost out of the 3, I kind of felt that they were in good shape. I thought they were going to win. That was an upset to me. But the last 2, they've come in uncharacteristic. Like we've said this about the last game with Zach Collaros going on this expletive-filled rant before a game. It just didn't seem like that were the Bombers that won 2 Grey Cups in a row. And it can't be just about winning in Iverwin or whatever it's called, Tim Hortons Field. There's something going on. I don't know if they're getting it in their heads now about losing the Grey Cup and not being there, but there just seems to be a different approach. And I don't know if he has this team focused. They came out slow. I thought eventually the game plan was well. They dropped a lot of balls. They had, everything was going wrong for the Bombers that day. So it's just the team feels a little different. The team that was in the Grey Cup did not seem like the team that went on an 8-game winning streak within the season.
Yeah, because I think they're probably looking back when we lost the last 2 Grey Cups. Let's kind of change things up how we handle this a little bit. And they didn't go it the right way.
Why do
And
you do that? What happened to
yeah,
going 1-0? Like he said
yeah.
every week of the way. Like did he let the players decide to control the vibe going into this last Grey Cup? I don't know. And some players said they had a different approach. I think Willie Jefferson said he was going in with a different approach, or I could be wrong. I don't want to be misquoting Willie Jefferson, so I could be wrong, but there's something different. I am not questioning Coach Osei's abilities. He's undoubtedly one of the best
Oh yeah.
CFL coaches of
For
all time.
sure.
I'm just questioning the last 2 Grey Cups and the preparation and the mindset of the team.
Yeah, for sure. I still have the faith in Michael Shea getting it done, and all that. I mean, look at what he's done for the Bombers. He's the all-time winningest coach in history.
Yeah.
They've won 2 Grey Cups. Unfortunately, could have won more, right? But they've made 5 straight Grey Cups. When are we ever going to see this again in our lifetime? We're probably not going to see 5 straight Grey Cups again, right?
No.
So To me, yeah, the guy deserves all the praise, but he also needs to look at himself in the mirror, and the team needs to look at itself because yeah, I feel like maybe they did a 180. It's like, hey, this is how we handle these last two Grey Cups. Let's go this way instead, and it backfired. Instead of kind of going halfway in between, going, okay, let's get focused and all this other stuff. But they had a lot of new guys last year, right? So going into the Grey Cup, that's a lot of them. That was their first Grey Cup experience. Right. It wasn't totally veteran team, especially on defense. So maybe, that had a factor in it as well. But yeah, they weren't prepared, or they were over prepared.
You still have enough of the veteran core and the coaching core to still have that culture moving forward. Because
you should, yeah.
They had it when they were resilient through the regular season, but something clicked or they decided to do something different or whatever. And past two Grey Cups have been really disappointing.
Yeah, and plus, but it just showed you this. It was the defense of Montreal and Toronto that caused havoc on that Bomber offense. And that's why I keep saying, or I keep harping on, Lawler, great guy, great receiver. If you can, get a good D lineman or a good defensive player for him instead, I'm good with that. You just got to make the right moves.
Man, that D line's got to fill out. The D line's got to fill out. Bomber fans, what is your number one concern at this point of time in the negotiation window, free agency, whatever you want to call this? Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. Leave a like. Benny, what do you have to say to our friends?
Yeah, just thanks a lot for listening. You know what? Have a good week, and hopefully the rest of the free agent window or negotiated window goes a little bit better for the Bombers, but we'll see how it goes.
I said on Twitter, man, Kyle Walters is going straight up shovel day off in this free agency. Just waiting.
Is he at the cabin, or is he out in Disney right now or something?
That was supposed to be a surprise. And the words of LeVar Burton, no, Ed Whalen. In the meantime, and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.